Greetings to all educators. I'm deeply honored to be a part of School Reformers platform to share my views on how to create a positive school culture, which is the need of the hour. I thank Ms. Praveena for giving me this opportunity to share the insights on the topic. I'm Elizabeth Ohol. I have worked as a senior biology teacher for 30 years and also as a biology coordinator for evaluations in Pune for ICSC board. I'm passionate about teaching and very interested in learning new methodologies in teaching and learning. Today, I would like to share my thoughts on some crucial points which would help to build a positive culture in schools. Schools are ever evolving, and the changes are brought about according to the need to continuously improve and promote core values by engaging with the system for inquiry based goal setting ideas for learning. To get this type of improvement, we need to plan and execute after collecting the necessary information. If we want to improve our school culture to a positive one, we have to bring all the students, teachers, parents, stakeholders, management all on the same page. We need to get everyone involved actively to monitor, identify the areas that need the change, and then implement the change. How can we bring about the change? First, we have to focus on certain factors like discipline, marking, grading, examinations, fear factor, and lack of relationship building, teacher centric, fixed norms and policies, very little professional development of the staff. First comes discipline. It is a crucial part of education. For students, it has to be from a forced discipline to a free discipline. Children need to be given ample time to reflect on their behavior and actions. Reflection has to be an integral part of the school culture. This emphasizes respectful communication and responsibility. It does not rely on punishments. Discipline is an important factor in any school, but it has to be handled with much care that should help satisfy a child's psychological, social, and intellectual needs so that it can lay a foundation for the overall well being of the child. It can be achieved using various strategies, for example, keeping a child engaged with some activity or having a reflective bench in the classroom to guide them and get them back on track. Talking to the child and identifying the problem that is creating this disruption will help the teachers address the situation. We can surely spare the rod. Examination, grading, and assessment. A school should not believe that it will be popular only if the students have more toppers than any other school. Education is not to make children successful in school, but to make successful for life. So, are we giving the children this type of education? Many parents panic if their children don't score well in certain subjects and enroll them in coaching centers. Yes, they may get good grades, but are they well equipped to handle emotional and financial setbacks, or can they handle any types of failures in life? Can exams alone prepare students for life? A 3-hour pen and paper test does not determine a child's understanding or creative ability. The marks shows that a child just knows that much in a subject. We always talk about IQ, but EQ and CQ are equally important. Maybe a child is excellent in sports, music, design, information, technology. We need to emphasize on these aspects also, and hence assessment has to be varied, giving opportunity to apply learning in different contexts. Fear factor and relationship building. Teaching is a relationship business. A teacher does not just teach but wears different hats. For example, the teacher is a counselor, guide, mentor, facilitator, and most of all, the teacher must be approachable. How can you teach a child whom you cannot connect to? We need to connect before we correct. If there is any fear in the child's mind regarding a particular subject or a teacher, that needs to be changed. A child must feel comfortable around a teacher. Only then he can communicate or even ask doubts relating to a topic. We build relationship by connecting with people, sharing ideas or knowledge. So, a teacher should build a good rapport with the children. There has to be connection, there has to be understanding and talking, and then correction. The concept of Ubuntu is I am who I am because of who you are. It originated in South Africa. There was this game proposed for the kids in a tribe. The teacher put a basket of fruits near a tree deep inside the jungle and told the kids that the first one to find the basket would win the whole basket of fruits. So the children, instead of running on their own, they all ran together, holding each other's hands to find the basket. And when they found the basket, they sat together and enjoyed the fruits. The teacher asked them, why did they run together, as one of them would have easily become a winner? They said, Ubuntu. How can one of us be happy when all others are sad? This concept of Ubuntu plays an important role in relationship building. You cannot be human all by yourself, said Desmond Tutu. Next important factor is teacher centric. In many schools, the teacher has the last word. We need to break this monotonous way where the teacher lectures or demonstrates and does most of the activity, while the children just sit, take notes, and observe. Students too need to voice their opinions or ideas. It has to be a two-way process. Teaching and learning go together. We need to create opportunities for students to express themselves on how they interpret things. Yes, teachers do not have the time freedom to make classes more interactive or creative because of the heavy pressure to complete the course. This may result in students focusing on rote learning and memorization. For example, students learn various parts of the body system but memorize their functions without understanding. So, not much opportunities are given to the students to construct their own understanding and learning. Therefore, active participation is necessary. So, practical and active participation and experiential learning is very important. What is active participation? It includes demonstration, discussion, practicals, interactive sessions. So, a typical teacher, instead of resorting to only lecture method, should also resort to discussion, practice, demonstration, audiovisual, and then reading and teaching. A happy class has happy students. Next is fixed norms and policies or fixed mindset. Many schools follow the age old norms and policies which were drafted from the inception of the school. Today, such policies are outdated because of the changing society and environment and the need of the hour. To bring about this change, the involvement of the parents and the students is very important. So, the students must actively involve the parents and the students wherever possible. Upgrading of the systems, school policies wherever possible is very important. Innovative schemes for the teachers and students, upgrading digital classrooms, budgeting, all factors need to be considered. A change policy must not only aim at improving the quality of the education provided, but also give ample importance to the holistic development. Many teachers think that whatever method is followed by them in teaching is the right one. They follow a lesson plan and go according to it. But they are unwilling to be flexible or to change. So we have an experienced teacher who has 1 year of teaching 25 times because they have taught the same for 25 years, the same way with the same approach. An experienced teacher would upgrade continuously every year, making learning not only fun but also give ample scope for critical thinking, reasoning, making classrooms more creative and innovative. Therefore, the teachers must follow a new approach. The teacher must be willing to come out of their comfort zone and try new methods. More focus has to be done on interaction, discussion, demonstration rather than lecture. This will result in maintaining a positive mindset in the classroom. Last but not the least, is very little scope for professional development of the staff. To make learning innovative and interesting, teachers need to upgrade their skills in relationship building and find new ways in teaching and making learning fun. The school must ensure teachers get proper resources and get ample opportunities to collaborate with faculty of other schools and get ideas to implement them in their teaching or be tech savvy to implement technology in their teaching or in the classroom, like the authentic use of AI tools or gamification, which also brings us to the academic integrity and plagiarism. They should be given opportunities to attend workshops or teacher training programs which focuses on latest technology in teaching and learning. Do you think workshops really upgrades a teacher? Regular workshops keep the educators updated about the latest methodologies in teaching. They learn to adapt to new challenges faced during interactive sessions in the classrooms. It helps in dealing with student emotional intelligence for direct student engagement. It helps in collaborating with faculty to share ideas and discuss different methods in teaching and learning. It helps to build a positive approach by applying new skills learned during workshop sessions. Remember, first create a safe environment. Make lesson plans more engaging and student centric. Respect and value each other. Encourage students to greet each other. Discuss and encourage students to share experiences, acknowledge their efforts, identify the behavior and feelings and making all of them welcome in the class. What are the takeaways? A school that focuses only on discipline and strict rules often struggle to have a positive culture. A positive school culture needs constant nurturing, caring, monitoring, and evaluating, connecting and collaborating with others. Using human resources builds positive school culture by recognizing staff achievements, counseling, pairing mentors with hires, team building, etc. Shifting from fixed mindset to a free mindset. Professional development of the staff for growth, self improvement, building new skills, and makes one aware of the new trends and changes in education. We can make schools an important learning hub only by building positive culture. Thank you, school reformers, for giving me this platform to express my views. And thank you, wonderful audience, for taking time out and attending this meeting.
Thank you so much, Miss Elizabeth. If you can stop sharing the screen, ma'am. Try to turn on your camera if you can. Stop sharing your screen, please.
Yes. One minute.
Recording in progress. Sure. Can you try to turn on your camera, please? Yes. Wonderful, ma'am. Please unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself? Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Audience, any questions? Miss Saloni, Miss Shauna, Miss Rachel, Miss Ridhima. Anyone? Any questions?
Anyone can ask. If you want to, if you want to ask about gamification in learning, there is one the scientist, Mendeleev's periodic table. He has, all of you have studied Mendeleev's periodic table. He started by the small game, of cards, keeping all the chemicals, name of the chemicals on the cards, and he arranged it. So games can, playway method is nothing but gamification. Learners get small rewards for their efforts, and learners, they try to focus on, brain activity. So there are board games, and it functions, basically on focusing cognitive brain games, and sometimes physical activity also. So this leads to positive engagement in the classrooms. Yes, important changes have been brought about by NEP, that is, the removal of separation of art, science, commerce sections and all that. And positive changes are being done by the new policy. But we have a long way to go. Every school does not have the infrastructure or the budget or proper teachers training program. So we have a long way to go. But still, we have to have a positive approach, because the policies do, focus on whatever things, factors I have previously discussed.
Any other questions? Regarding the activities, Miss Elizabeth, what
Yes.
specific reflection activities work best for different age groups, ma'am?
Ma'am, for the lower, for the lower section, that is the primary section,
Mhm.
uh, first of all, they should be taught what is right from wrong. First of all, those things have to be mentioned. Then once that work is done, the child can differentiate what is right and wrong. And moreover, if you give them certain activities like clay molding or the crayon work for the little ones, because they get engaged in themselves, the teacher needs to find out what is disrupting the class, what type of behavior the child is exhibiting, and then she can address the problem. So it is a more of a counseling and taking care of the child. So this basic activities will help the child to focus on that activity rather than their behavior. So one way is to give them the activities which they like. Then we can also, as the child progresses, we can, and once he comes to know what is right and wrong, a small, activity, just making them sit on one bench, which they can reflect on what has gone wrong, why it has gone wrong, why certain behaviors disrupting the classroom. So once that is clear, the I hope that will be enough for the child to then progress in his behavior.
So, ma'am, what about parents' role? What role should parents play in discipline decisions, ma'am?
Yes. Now that, many a times parents themselves, they come and say that they don't listen to us. And that they listen only to the teacher. Many parents, they come and they have this one complaint that the child is only focused on video games or, doesn't listen to them. Now, here the teacher has to come in because the teacher has to remove a particular time. She has to give time to the child. So she has to come out of that teaching zone and go to a completely, different counseling zone and address the child's problem. So maybe the child is, he seeks attention. Okay, that problem must be there, that problem has to be addressed. Sometimes the children are very intelligent, and they are more intelligent than the toppers in the class. But what happens when they have to give a particular project or adhere to a deadline, they just don't give the projects. So the teacher wonders why the project is not given and why the child is behaving in such a way. And then the teacher understands that the child has done the project very nicely, more and more better than the topper, but the child is just not giving because he wants to be very perfect, perfectionism, and he always thinks that something is lacking in my project and I have to be perfect in that this in that constant thought. He doesn't give the project. So this type of behavior also is there found in the children. So the teacher first has to understand what type of, why this is happening, and then they can address the problem. So the child has done the work, the child has completed everything, but just because the child is not confident enough that that project is not up to the mark, he thinks like that. So the child, doesn't give the project. So these things have to be addressed by the teacher.
So, coming to the teachers, ma'am, you need to adapt every change. What strategies help reluctant teachers adopt new methodologies? Because we all enjoy our comfort zone. So sometimes
Yes.
we become little reluctant to adopt anything new. So how should you motivate
Yes.
them?
Yes. Now, many a times, experienced teachers, they feel that we have got, 30 years, 25 years of experience, and, they are in that comfort zone, and they want to have the same methods. But every experienced teacher needs to upgrade. They need to know what is the need of the hour, the need of that particular time. For example, nowadays there's AI tools. They need to upgrade. They need to learn about this. For this, the school has to give them ample resources, okay, and send them for workshops or training programs so that they can, use the methodology in the teaching sessions. So they have to come out of the comfort zone. So workshops, regular workshops are very important, whether the teacher is, experienced 20 years, or the teacher is just a fresher. For both, workshops are important because it upgrades them. It They are ready to learn what is, going around the world. They are aware of what is going around, the new methodologies. So they need to upgrade themselves all the time, and therefore workshops, sending them for workshops, this type of resources has to be given to the teacher.
Right. So, coming to the large class sizes, ma'am, how can these large class sizes accommodate individualized attention?
Many schools, because of the lack of infrastructure, they are just, having small classrooms, but lot of teacher students in them. Like, for example, a classroom has 60 children.
Right.
So now here is the challenge for the teacher. The teacher can, make groups and allot certain activities to different, but the teacher, has got a lot of pressure because the teacher has to complete the portion on time and does not have that much time for all these things. So that's why this type of big classrooms has to be segregated. They have to bifurcate those groups, and then we can come to know which group does well, and that group can, help the other group.
Last question, ma'am, but not the least. What metrics indicate successful relationship building between teachers and students?
A good rapport with with the students always is a benchmark to, to know what type of relationship the teacher is having with the student. If a student feels comfortable enough to ask any question or doubt, or stand up and ask any doubt regarding a particular, there should not be any fear in the child's mind regarding a teacher. So once the student is comfortable around the teacher, then only we can come to know that, we can go with our teaching methods, or whichever whatever we are doing in the class, then only it can go smoothly. If we have any student, even one student, who has a fear factor of any teacher, because sometimes they have fear of teachers. So if any student has got that fear factor in his mind, then we are failed to become teachers.
Thank you so much, Miss Elizabeth. Thank you for the informative session, ma'am. Anything else you want to mention before I end the session?
It was wonderful, to be on this platform. There was a technical glitch. I'm very sorry about that. But it was very wonderful to come on this platform, School Reformers platform, and to share my insights on this topic, which is actually, it's the need of the hour, because we have so much of policies, and on ground we see very little implementation. So we need to focus on these policies, and we need to make our atmosphere a positive one, so that the child must not fear coming to a classroom, must not fear going to a particular teacher. We should make the child comfortable, and not only that, teach them the moral values, that they have to respect each other, they have to wish each other, they have to greet each other. These values are lost nowadays. So in order to make a positive approach, these things has to be considered.
Lovely, ma'am. Thank you all the participants for attending this session. If you are interested, you can share your interest with Miss Elizabeth also. She can pass on the message to me. And we will invite you as speakers on our platform. Anyone is welcome to share your knowledge on our platform. Thank you once again and have a great evening. I'll end the session
Thank
now.
you all.